The C-1 is a bait that I've been working on for, I don't know, a year and a half maybe. And, you know, the wreck squarebill has a huge following for the black label brand. And it's a great bait. I've caught a ton of fish on the wreck. But there's been times that I felt like I needed a version of the wreck, you know, same basic profile, same basic weight, but that was just a little bit softer, whether it was having to deal with a little bit clearer water or maybe just a day where I had very little wind. You know, I needed something that just didn't have quite as much thump, but I wanted a bait that still had a similar vibration and a bait that still came through cover and recovered real fast. And what I mean by that is when the bait comes into contact with a stump or a log, as it bounces off, it recovers really quick. Oftentimes that's the key to generating and getting a fish to eat it. And that's kind of where the C-1 came from. Is basically just a toned down, a little bit softer version of a wreck. If you look at the C-1 body, it's slightly taller than a wreck, but it's substantially thinner than a wreck. It's not a flat bait, but it is a little bit thinner, and it also has a little bit narrower lip. Everything else about the bait is pretty much the same as far as the way it's constructed. The wire, you know, the line tie goes through the lip just like it does on the wreck. Carries the same size hooks. I did choose to make this model with 3D eyes. I've had quite a few people reach out over the last couple of years saying, you know, we love your baits. We'd love to see you make some with some 3D eyes. Just because 3D eyes, especially when you're trying to match a shad, does give it a little bit more element of realism. And also, because this bait is very similar shape, it's not the same bait in the water, I promise. As a wreck, I felt like having the 3D eyes on the C-1 would make it very easy to distinguish between the two, you know, in a person's tackle box. So you know, if you have wrecks already, you want to get some of these for the conditions that we were just talking about. When you're reaching there to get a C-1, you know it has 3D eyes on it. When you're reaching there to get a wreck, you know it has the traditional painted on eyes that we've always used. So that's the C-1. This is a, let's see, 3 to 5 foot bait. It's 2 1/8 of an inch long, and it weighs 7/16 of an ounce. This is going to become a staple squarebill, I'm telling y'all. I've been fishing this bait for over a year. I've got quite a few buddies that have had an opportunity to fish with it and play with it. Everybody that touches this bait loves it. It's going to be a bait that is definitely going to fit in very well in our balsa bait world.